So, kid, how's your birthday been so far?
It's been good.
Yeah, good. Well, time for me to give you my gift. Here you go.
An end times movie. I hate you. So, for those of you who are new to this show, I don't like end times movies. At all. In fact, I would be more than happy if we had like a 15 to 20 year break from the genre entirely. To date, I have seen one end times movie that I actually liked, and that would be The Moment After 2. And what I like about it is that it doesn't feel like a typical end times movie. What do I mean by typical end times movie? Basically, any movie that tries to tell the same story as Left Behind or A Thief in the Night. The characters' names may change, but in the end, they tell the exact same story and basically give a step-by-step walkthrough of premillennial eschatology. But I'm an optimist, and even though it pains me to see a new end times movie announced every other month, I do still remain hopeful that maybe this one won't be as bad as all the others. Maybe this one will be the one that finally rises above all the other apocalyptic schlock. So now we're looking at PureFlix Entertainment's Revelation Road. If you're not familiar with PureFlix Entertainment, you probably haven't been paying much attention to the Christian film industry in the last several years. Since 2007, they've pretty much become the #1 producer of Christian films in the country, coming out with a new movie every couple of months or so. I've reviewed some of their films in the past, and on the whole, they're pretty good. But being a producer of Christian films, they're not immune to the market's demand for end-time thrillers. So here we are about to embark down Revelation Road. How bumpy of a ride are we in for? The movie opens with an ominous narration over stock footage, telling us about the prophecies of the end times.
Over time, this revelation has been rejected, diluted, ignored by all but a few.
Hold up, sorry, stop. All but a few? I'm sorry, I didn't realize that the millions, if not billions, of Christians that have lived for the past 2,000 years only counted as a few.
Even as the signs began, great floods, fire, famine, pestilence,
and then screaming thunder, lightning, floods, tornadoes, famine, pestilence, fire, earthquakes, giving way to hazy afternoon sunshine.
After the narration, we see a biker gang beating up a federal agent who has been sent to take down the gang's leader. The leader bemoans that there's no one worthy to face him and sends the agent running, only to chase him down on his motorcycle and kill him with a giant hammer. That was different. Next, we meet the hero of the story, a traveling salesman named Josh, played by David A.R. White. He gets a call from his wife, where we learn that he's not a Christian, though his wife is. Non-believer protagonist in an end times movie? Calling it now, he misses the rapture. A freak lightning storm kills his car, and after he pulls over, he's hit by a pickup truck driven by these lovely guys. The movie makes it really easy for us to tell the good guys and the bad guys apart. The good guys are usually clean, well-dressed, and display a wide range of emotions. The bad guys are dirty, generally clad in leather, and display one of two emotions, either barely contained rage or stark raving bonkers. Oh, and they're never named on screen. No, seriously. Yeah, when you get to the credits, everyone has a name, but they never say it on screen. I had to go on to IMDb and look at the cast list and see their headshots to match up who was who. Anyway, the truck driver tries to rob Josh, which prompts Josh to go into this weird blue slow-mo trance thing. It gets interrupted by the arrival of the biker gang, who just stop in front of them for no reason.
What's this, little road rage? Huh? Well, don't mind us.
See what I mean? That display of crazy scares off the thugs and everyone goes on their way. Josh winds up at a small shop and tries to sell a bulletproof vest to the owner.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and if I like the answers, I'll buy the vest.
His questions are you a family man? Do you believe in God? And would you trust the vest or God to protect your family? How does this make any sense? It seems like the only reason this is here is to show that Josh has issues connecting with his family, and while he may acknowledge the existence of a God, he doesn't really believe. Things that were established in the previous scene where he was on the phone with his wife. And that scene did a much better job of communicating these facets of the character than this scene. This scene just comes across as very heavy-handed movie bashing us over the head with, these are the themes of our story. It does get tied together later on when the obligatory gospel message scene comes into play, but we'll get to that later. While Josh stews over the question, he meets the owner's granddaughter, and by meets, I mean gets pickpocketed by her. But never mind that, the crazy bikers are back. And this is where things get interesting. After they rob the store, the boss orders the goons to kill everyone, which turns Josh into blue haze slow-mo mode again. Only this time we get to see where that leads. He kills all the bikers. Okay, that was actually a pretty cool scene.
I know you're the storyteller and everything, but you're not going to retell the entire movie, are you?
I'm not even 20 minutes into this thing yet.
That's kind of my point. I thought you didn't do spoilers.
Hey, this is what you get for giving me an end times movie for my birthday.
What? It's your party and you'll rant if you want to?
Exactly.
Look, are you going to give a play-by-play of the movie, or are you actually going to review this thing?
Both? Fine, I'll pick up the pace. So the bikers, they're called the Barbarians by the way, rescue the surviving member who tells the boss what happened before he dies. The boss swears violent revenge on Josh and the store owner's family. Meanwhile, Josh gets questioned by the police, and we learn that before 5 years ago, Josh has no records of even existing. He can't say, but it's implied that he was some kind of government secret agent and has combat experience, hence his super soldier fighting abilities. The store owner, whose name is Frank, invites Josh to his home for lunch and to thank him for saving his and his granddaughter's lives.
Stop the presses, it's time to share the gospel!
I hate it when this happens. We're only 30 minutes into the movie and the story has already been brought to a screeching halt by an obligatory gospel message scene. It just feels like the filmmakers are just checking off a box of things we have to put in our movie, whether it makes sense for the pacing of the story or not. And it's not just this movie, this is a huge problem with Christian movies in general. I can only think of 2 or 3 movies off the top of my head where the gospel message is integrated in such a way that doesn't feel forced. Oh, this review is coming out way too negative. This is not why I started this show. Okay, something positive. Okay, the acting is great. This is a really talented cast. I didn't find any problems with their acting. They did the best they could with what they were given. And the cinematography and editing are actually really nice. It's stylized in a way that really helps emphasize the gritty, action-packed feel of the whole story. And I do like the mystery of Josh's past. They do a good job of giving us enough clues early on without spoiling or just outright saying, hey, this is what our character is. So, points for having well-paced intrigue. Some of the barbarians spy on Josh and Frank's family and report back to the boss. And this is where we get something of a subplot developing. See, there's this woman with the barbarians named Kat. So far, all she's done is hang in the background and display great discomfort and concern about the barbarians' actions. She had tried to go in to help rescue the bikers at the shop, but the boss kicked her bike over and told her to go home. The only other thing she's contributed to the story at this point is spy on Josh so the leader knows where to find him. And then we get this scene.
Any more challengers?
I'll fight him.
That's enough!
Now, I don't condone women in combat, but I really wanted to see her take down Sting. Not only would it have been awesomely hilarious, it would have given the character more interest and something to do and have a purpose for being in the story. As it is, this is pretty much the last thing she does until the end of the movie. You could almost say subplot over at this point, which is really disappointing. Anyway, at Josh's hotel that night, he hears some domestic violence in the room next door. Josh offers to help by calling the sheriff, but the woman wants money. Josh isn't willing to give her any since that really won't help her problems. The woman contends that there's no force on earth that can make people change, which Josh disagrees with, saying that he changed.
Let me guess. You found Jesus.
Found Rachel, my wife.
Hey, now this is good. It's a bit speechy, but the dialogue is realistic, and it's consistent with Josh's character of being a self-reliant man. During the gospel scene earlier, Josh tells Frank that he would choose the vest over God to protect his family, which, considering he's not a Christian, makes total sense for the character. This scene also shows us that while he does have trouble connecting with his family because of his past baggage, he does still truly love them, and they're really his driving force, which I admit does tie back to the first of Frank's questions about being a family man. Okay, those questions do have a purpose in Josh's arc, but I still think it was a really clumsy way of setting it up. As Josh leaves, the woman's boyfriend arrives and the situation turns ugly very fast. Josh goes back into super soldier mode and a fight ensues. As you might expect, Josh quickly gets the upper hand and puts the guy into a chokehold. But he's so deep into it that it looks like he's in danger of killing the guy.
You're killing him! Stop it!
Really? Really, movie? You really did that? Why? You had a tense, dramatic moment. It was great. And then you give us a pitch-shifted voice. That is not how you keep the mood going. Muffle her voice. Keep it the normal pitch, but stretch it out. Do anything but lower the pitch. That's not dramatic.
This is bad comedy.
He snaps out of it, gives them all his cash, apologizes, and admits that he hasn't changed after all. He tries to buy some comfort food, but doesn't have enough change, since he just gave away all of his money. But then the leader of the barbarians shows up and gives him some change, and they talk about heroes and titans and tyrants and stuff. Let's talk about the boss for a minute. He's never named on screen, of course, but in the credits he's revealed to have the oh-so-intimidating name of, ready for this? Hog. With a W. No wonder they never named him on screen. I don't really get this guy. I mean, supposedly he's so bad that federal agents are sent to take him down, but we're never really told what exactly he's done to warrant this. I mean, we can assume he's led other armed robberies and killed people in the past, since that's what he does in the movie, but we're never told anything about this guy's background or his gang or why he started it, or, except a throwaway line from the sheriff saying that the barbarians are a rough bunch. Hog almost seems like some sort of cult leader, calling the other gang members his brothers and having this obsession with facing a worthy opponent. He even named his hammer Vengeance for some reason. It's like the guy has this delusion that he's some kind of rising supervillain, but we're not given enough information about this guy to tell us why we should take him seriously. He may be more subdued and growly, but he's just as flat as all the other villains. I mean, it is nice to see a villain in an end times movie that's not associated with the one world government or the Antichrist or whatever, so A for effort, I guess, but I just wish there was more to this guy. Anyway, Hog paints his picture of a glorious future of a world run by titans like himself, and Josh stands up to him. This somehow makes him worth fighting in Hog's eyes. Sting leads an attack on Frank's home and a wild shootout commences. Frank is wounded and he sends his wife and granddaughter out the back to escape. They're caught by Kat, but she lets the granddaughter go. Frank gets captured too and the barbarians hold them until Hog arrives. Just as Hog is about to kill them, a bright light appears in the sky around the world. And for the next 4 minutes, we watch people stare at the sky. I am not kidding. I timed it. 4 minutes. But then, just when it looks like that Frank and his wife are saved by the Rapture, the light goes away. And nothing's happened. Then people start glowing like Doctor Who regenerating, and a full minute later, they turn into orbs of light, leaving a pile of ashes behind and fly up into the sky. Okay, that was definitely the most unique Rapture scene I've ever seen. Probably the longest too, but I can live with it. After that, Josh is trapped at the hotel by the owner who won't let anyone leave until they can pay their bill. The granddaughter, whose name is Beth by the way, is protected by a nameless stranger while the barbarians are looking for Frank and his wife, since Hog doesn't really believe they disappeared. Call this a shot in the dark, but I think the stranger is supposed to be Jesus. Why do I say that? Well, because he's played by Bruce Marciano. And then we're told that the story will continue in Revelation Road 2, A Sea of Glass and Fire. See, this is why I felt like I could go into more detail with this review than I usually do. The story's not finished yet. There's still a lot of things that are unresolved that hopefully they'll address in the sequel. I don't know when I'm going to get around to watching the second one, but I definitely want to see how it all ends. And I just realized I said that I wanted to see an end times movie. I'm not sure how I feel about this. So let's summarize. Is Revelation Road worth watching, and how does it compare to other end times movies? To answer the second question first, I definitely give it points for it being different. The Rapture and post-Rapture events aren't the main focus of the story. It's trying to tell a character-driven story without focusing on the eschatology. So, A for effort. The execution, on the other hand, does leave a lot to be desired. The weakest links in the story really are the villains. They just really felt like they weren't developed enough and were very flat and cliched. Not the fault of the actors by any means. The actors did a great job with what they had. It's just the characters themselves just didn't feel like there was enough there. This whole movie strikes me as being like a diamond in the rough. There's a lot of potential for it to have been a really great movie, but it's like in the rush to get it made, a lot of much needed script development and revisions were neglected. It does have pacing issues, it does drag a lot, for example the 6-minute Rapture scene. It'll be interesting to see where they go with the second movie. I have a lingering fear that maybe the stories of the two movies could have been condensed into one movie, but we'll see how it goes when I get to that one. So, is Revelation Road worth watching? Actually, I think it is. For all its flaws, it's still much better than most end times movies. Not as good as Moment After 2, but definitely better than any of the others I've seen. If you do decide to buy your own copy, please use this link here to buy it from ChristianCinema.com. Full disclosure, this is an affiliate link, which means I get a very small percentage of any sales through this link, which is one of the ways I support this show. And since I have a feeling that PureFlix isn't going to send me any more free copies of their movies to review after this, I'd really appreciate it if you use this link so I can afford to buy Revelation Road 2. So, thank you for watching Indy Christian Review. Until next week, may God bless you, and may God bless independent Christian films. And if you'll excuse me, I've got some birthday cake to finish.